the Herkimer County Legislature in order and ask you to stand for the pledge and have Mr. Bernie Armada lead us in the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Take just stand for a moment of silence for our speaker. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman? Yes, sir. At the beginning of the meeting, I'd like to take a point of order. Somebody put the Sturgis Standard Code of Parliamentary Procedure on our desk. There's something wrong with this. I need to ask our attorney, please, to explain the one that's wrong based on constitutionality. The one to the closed debate, number 5.
Actually, I was asked by Mrs. Rose to comment and render an opinion on this in 2009. And the question was, does it take just a majority vote to close debate, or does it take a 2/3 vote? And I indicated to her, and I think perhaps to others at the time, that it's not my opinion that it requires a 2/3 vote. Majority vote is sufficient to stop debate. That's based on County Law Section 153, which specifies the legislature acts by majority vote of its total voting power, and a 1980 opinion of the Attorney General of New York, which states that any rule allowing a minority of members to indefinitely prevent the consideration of public business violates the Constitution. So I've previously given an opinion on that, specifically Mrs. Rose, and others indicating that in my opinion the majority vote closes debate.
I do appreciate that Mr. Milne did do that. There's a variety of issues that are lined out here, and I think parliamentary procedure has been used quite effectively in some cases to manage the meetings. When the county attorney references that latest decision that he said for the minority to extend debate, what I was citing here certainly allows for the vote. It's just that someone can't be interrupted, and of course you always have the right to rule us out of order at times. So I would ask that the review of that particular position that the county chairman has taken, the county attorney has taken, can be reviewed at another level, and I will pursue that.
Right, we need to do this at the committee level, so
okay.
we'll carry on with the meeting.
What
Let's call them.
What committee
It will be
level?
veterans.
Thank you, sir.
Clerk, call the roll.
Rose.
Here.
Hartman. Here. Schrader.
Here.
Manine.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Hendricks. Here. Hyde.
Here.
Brzezinski.
Here.
Nano.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Bono.
Here.
Ackerman.
Here.
Kaplinsky.
Here.
Force.
Here.
Russell.
Here.
Shaw.
Here.
Weekly.
Here.
All present. Pursuant to Rule 8, are there any objections or corrections to the minutes of the March 21st, 2012 meeting? If there are none, I'll order them approved. Reading in full of claims disallowed by the auditor and presented by the audit, or audit by the legislature. Nothing on the desk. We'll have a comment period by our residents. I would ask that you get your comments limit them to 5 minutes apiece with a total period of 30 minutes. And I'll first call on Miss Tiffany Whiteley. Tiffany, want to come up to the front here? And her subject matter is Get Active.
After much success last year, we had a Get Active event in Little Falls, New York. It was held at Veterans Memorial Park, right in Little Falls. What it was basically that students and kids were allowed to try 5 different sports at the venue. If you haven't been to Veterans Park, there are, I believe, 3 Little League fields, 1 main field that's utilized over the summer for baseball play, and also tennis courts and basketball courts. What we had done was we had 5 different sports venues, lacrosse being one of them, which is something different that most kids don't get to learn in school. So what we had done was we gave them the opportunity to try these sports, also a free lunch, and then afterwards we had a kickball game on a different night. This year we're incorporating it into one full night. So the reason why I'm bringing this up to the legislator is just to kind of come into almost agreement with it and just kind of endorse it as we start doing advertisements around in your districts, just letting kids know that this is an event and it's free of charge and something that they can try and stay active over the summer.
Thanks, Susan. Good luck. Next call on Carl Streeter, Million, and subject matter is a reminder for requests.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, these are reminders. This is a reminder of a request I've made in the past several times in different forms by snail mail, by email, by personal conversation. And it has to do with a series of questions that I've yet to have answered about things relative to the operation of the county, beginning with the jail. Some of the questions, I'm afraid, I've been told are not going to be answered by the legislature because they fall within the sheriff's domain, and the sheriff doesn't answer to the legislature, so I'll have to postpone those until I have a chance to talk to Mr. Farber. They have to do with deterioration of the application of the present jail, although I guess I could remind you that you all have said that the jail is deteriorated, dilapidated, unfit for use, and I've asked in the past for some specific examples. One would be fine. And of course, if you tell me that it is dilapidated, then I have to ask you who's accountable for the deterioration. So it's a loaded question. I would ask the legislature about the organization of yourselves in terms of exploring specifics within the jail. The county rules and regulations quite clearly assign the care of prisoners to the Public Safety Committee, and the expenditure of $34 million would quite likely fall on the Ways and Means Committee. But I can't find any record, perhaps I'm wrong, of where the Ways and Means Committee or the Public Safety Committee have had any meetings, any discussions, any decisions on the specifications of the new jail. There are other ways within
2011
the
authorization was given for.
What's that?
2013, December 13th or 14th, the committees gave authorization to go forward on the cell package. It's right in the minutes, it's right on the.
12/13/2013.
Number 9.
Number 9.
2011.
2011, thank you, I'll review that. I asked again why you're not considering using any county property for this jail. It seemed to me that that would be a more economical way to go, less controversial with the various municipalities from whom you would take by eminent domain some of the tax paying property and take it off the tax roll. Then if we have such an organization, such a special committee, I can ask the question again, why the proposed jail is 13.9% more costly than any of the other jails that I've been able to find online, and why is the proposed new jail 17% bigger than the next biggest jail in Herkimer County, in New York State, but also why is the proposed jail 33.9% more costly than any other jail in New York State? St. Lawrence County, that's been touted as an example, came in at a per cell cost that's 33.9% less than what I've been told is proposed for our jail. That's the slide. But I'll ask it anyways. Then it explained to me that the 0.25% sales tax that's been in effect since '07, that garners about $1.5 million a year of taxpayers' money, primarily, or in large part, I'll phrase it that way, comes from the 3 gas stations on the freeway. If you look, you'll find that in those 3 gas stations there are 24 pumps. And if you look at our Sealer and Waits annual report, you'll find he inspects in this county 550 pumps. So I think the 24 pumps on the freeway are a scant contributor to this accumulated $1.5 million a year.
1 minute.
1 minute, thank you. Never got an answer to this one. Probably tough to answer. why did you agree with the State Commission of Corrections to build a known undersized outdoor recreation area when you knew that put us in perpetual jeopardy, perpetual vulnerability of being shut down by the FCC because we were deliberately non-compliant with the rule? I don't know why we would build something deliberately out of the regs. This has to do with the jail escape. I'm trying to get some answers from Eric on that. And I would ask, are we at all considering or have we abandoned any conversation with Oneida County in terms of collaborating somehow, some way in the keeping of our inmates? So I say this now, eyeball to eyeball. I have been successfully getting answers paper to paper or however. Perhaps you'll be kind enough to give this some consideration. These are valid, pertinent questions, and I think I deserve an answer, and I think a lot of the people in the community are looking for it. Thank you very much.
Mr. Streeter, I'm just going to ask that on more than one occasion, we've had to correct you on some of your information. Just next time you come up, you're more than welcome to come up. Just make sure that your information is factual.
Certainly. Last time I was here, Mr. Russell corrected me.
Yes. Thank you. I just want to make a comment. We'll move on, seeing how there's no one else signed up. Communications received by the legislature and the committees to which they have been referred to are listed on the agenda. Does any member of the legislature request mention in any particular communication? Mr. Mayo.
Mr. Chairman, would you have the clerk please read 131?
Move on.
Mary Scanlon, it reads, Dear Chairman Bono, although by law my official letter of resignation must be submitted to the county clerk, I want to officially notify you and your fellow legislators of my impending retirement. My last day as director of Office of the Aging should be Friday, April 27th. My first day of retirement, Saturday, April 28th. I consider myself fortunate to have made a 30-year career with Herkimer County, beginning with what was expected to be a one-year grant position in the Youth Bureau and then to Director of Youth Bureau, finishing with 21 years as Office for Aging Director. It has been a most productive and rewarding career. I am extremely proud of our county in many ways. Over these 30 years, I have witnessed a long line of very dedicated employees and public officials who have gone above and beyond their job descriptions to assist the residents of the county. The level of cooperation exhibited among county departments for the good of our residents has always been outstanding and admired by many who stood on the outside. Our teamwork focused toward the efficient and responsible use of taxpayer funds, combined with a high level of concern and integrity, continues to exist among Herkimer County employees. I notify you my resignation with sincere regards and with a strong appreciation of the challenges that we as public officials have faced and you will continue to face in the future. Sincerely, Mary Scanlon.
I want to thank Mary for her years of service. She's done a great job, and we're really going to miss her.
Absolutely. Russell.
Make sure that everybody's microphones are on. I'm having a hard time hearing that.
Scanlon, thank you very much for your years of service. As Peter stated, greatly appreciated. You do a great job, and we're going to miss you. Anyone else? Communications? We'll move on. Pursuant to Rule 6, Number 8, reports of standing committees, I'll ask if there's any committee reports from the chairs. Who would like to begin? Mr. Russell, would you like to?
Well, all the information that we've gone through within the committees or within these resolutions, so hopefully people have had the time to look at them, and if they've had any questions they've asked. As you know, that I've been on vacation with my two beautiful children, and it was a wonderful time, and better that than to go over all these resolutions.
Thank you. Any other chairperson? Ms. Minnie?
We haven't had a meeting this month, but we are planning one before our next meeting. I just wanted to let you know that the Return the Favor program is coming along fine. They've got over 61 businesses that are participating, and it's being very well accepted in the community.
Can you just give us a little briefing on the return of favor?
It's a card for our military, our retired military, and they can come into the county to fill out the application, and they get a card that they can present to the businesses and get various discounts. Each business is a little bit different as far as what they're offering them, but it's being, it's the motor vehicle department, Sylvia Rowan is chairing that, and it's a very big and wonderful program for our military.
Just clarification, there's only retired? She said retired, I thought it was all.
Yeah, I think it's retired and active.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Any other, Jim? Sorry, Mr. Smith.
Just a fast question. That list that's compiled, almost everything is in Herkimer County, right?
Yes,
Everything.
it's Herkimer County program.
Okay, thank you.
Any other chairperson? Mr. Shaw.
I talked to Mr. Smith, and we're probably going to be trying to put together another presentation for IDA, hopefully in Manheim if they will host it. That'll be coming up sometime here in the next couple of weeks. And next Wednesday at 9 a.m., I guess everybody got the memo. We have got permission to do a walkthrough of the sewer district plan over here. There seems to be some confusion on money spent that last meeting, even though no questions were directly asked. So it would give them a little better idea of how their system works and how the process works. They're probably going to, here in the future, be expanding the facility or doing some upgrades. So I think it would be useful for everybody to show up there. Dress casual.
Dress casual. Is there anyone else? Any other chairperson want to give a report? All right, thank you. We'll move on. Before I move on, I'd like to announce that we have some guests here, some students from the Cornell Cooperative Extension intern program, and Ms. Wendy Richardson. I wanted to call you Richards. Ms. Wendy Richardson, the teacher for that program, is here with her students, and I want to welcome you all. And if you could all stand up and introduce yourselves and say where you're from, what school district you're from, it would be great. Where can we start? Right here?
Chastity, and I'm from Dodgeville. Jason, and I'm from Dodgeville. Shay Voorhees, I'm from Dodgeville. I'm Jessica Vreesel, and I'm from West Winfield.
I'm Devin Winchester, and I'm from West Winfield.
I'm Haley Phillips, and I'm from West Canada. I'm Alexis Streeter, and I'm from Ilion. I'm Ellie Chavit, and I'm from Ilion. I'm Christina Colbert, and I'm from Ilion.
I'm Tyler Bryan, and I'm from Ilion.
I'm Colin Chris, and I'm from the town of Webb.
I'm Justin Hillhall, I'm from Dolgeville.
And I'm Rebecca Roswell, and I'm from Dodgeville.
Welcome. As is customary here, we will ask our county attorney, Mr. Rob Malone, to give us a little briefing on procedures that we have here in the legislative chambers during our meetings. So, Mr. Malone?
Be glad to, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if you all have an agenda or a copy of it, but if you look at it, the next item of business for the legislature is all the resolutions, and that's how the county acts by resolution of legislature. It takes 9 votes in this legislature to pass most things. Sometimes it takes 12 votes. Sometimes those votes are a voice vote, and you'll hear the clerk call all in favor and then all against where there's aye and nay, and then you'll see a few resolutions here which call for a roll call vote, and that's where each legislator's name is called. So you'll watch a variety of proceedings and procedures taking place. Any member of this legislature can ask for a roll call vote on any resolution, and that does sometimes happen if someone wants to create a record about what's going on. And there are some resolutions that require a roll call vote, whether requested or not. And those are the types of things that the state legislature indicates would have a heavy impact on county taxpayers, imposing taxes, purchasing or selling real estate, that sort of thing, creating positions. So that's just a little brief heads up on some of the procedure you get a chance to watch today.
Any questions from the kids? We'll move on with the resolutions. We'll start with number 83.
Let's see, Committee on Public Safety and Emergency Management approving the monthly report of the sheriff.
This resolution approves the monthly report of the sheriff for February. May I have a motion? Mr. Hyde, second. Mr. Smith, Mr. Hendricks. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Number 84, voice.
Natural Resources provides that additions to the existing ag districts for the year 2012 is in compliance with SECRA.
This resolution determines that the proposed addition to Agricultural District Number 4 will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts. May I have a motion? Mr. Shaw, second by Mr. Hyde, Mr. Ackerman. Is there any discussion? Mr. Corsi.
This is a state law that was passed that provides for the protection of ag value, protection of agricultural land. It enables it to be maintained and taxed for its agricultural value and not for its potential commercial value. There is a way you can sign your farm up for an ag value assessment, even if it isn't in an ag district. It's much more easy to be in an ag district for a farmer. And also, if development encroaches upon it, it protects it from right to farm laws. A township may pass a right to farm law. They may be entitled to a hearing that's sponsored by Ag and Markets if potential development is coming in. It's meant for those areas that wish to be in an area that's protected for agricultural purposes to enjoy continued protection from encroachment by civilization.
Thank you. Any more debate? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Number 85, the voice.
Natural Resources approving additions to existing agricultural districts.
This resolution approves the addition of a parcel listed into Agricultural District Number 4. May I have a motion? Mr. Shaw, second by Mr. Poplinski. Any discussion or debate? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Number 86, a voice.
Planning and Development, Ways and Means authorizing entering into a license agreement with the State of New York.
This resolution approves a license agreement with the State of New York for lease of space for the Department of Labor at the One Stop Career Center. May I have a motion? Mr. Poplinski, second by Mr. Johnson. Any debate? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Number 87.
Planning and Development in connection with Herkimer County IDA project.
This resolution authorizes the chairman to confirm findings of the Herkimer County Industrial Development Agency in connection with the proposed Sphere project. May I have a motion? Mr. Shaw, second by Mr. Poplinski. Any debate? Mr. Hartman.
For the public's benefit, could somebody explain what the development is?
Briefly, the Sphere development project is a farm, Tractor Supply company is interested in developing a site in the village of Herkimer near the Thruway, the old Skinner, well, the current Skinner site. Any more debate? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Resolution passes. Number 88. Roll call.
Ways and Means authorizing compromise and settlement of obligations to the Town of Columbia.
This resolution authorizes acceptance of withdrawal for the Herkimer County Self-Insurance Plan for the Town of Columbia under the terms listed. May I have a motion? Mr. Hyde, second by Mr. Russell. May I have debate? Mr. Rose.
Mr. Chairman, this was voted down at our last meeting, and I remember, at least I had a sense of those that are certainly more knowledgeable about this than I am, that to continue to offer 75 cents on the dollar for anyone who gets out of the plan could have financial impact on us. Can we just have assurances that someone has reviewed the financial impact of this and that it is not negative to the operation and the old workers' comp plan?
We had that discussion at the meeting. I don't know if you were...
I bet perhaps I was...
All right, I'll ask this one time.
Yep.
Mr. Yes. Okay.
I'll go
Mr.
first
Wallace.
and then Mr. Billings. We've done, Helen, we've taken a look at the interest rates over the last 50 years, and then we've taken over the list of the last 25 years. When we take that and move that forward, we believe that the money that we'll be able to invest would be more than the actual 100% payment.
Thank you.
Any more debate?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Course.
I think that the Ways and Means Committee needs to take a look at some of the rules concerning this plan. The last they were amended was back in 1995, and there may be some action the committee wishes to take. If a municipality notifies us they're getting out, it generates a $13,000 actuarial study. And I think maybe some of the rules need to be looked at as to what could apply that might be cheaper than a complete audit. So
I'll ask Mr. Russell to take note of that. Okay, thank you. Any more debate? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Roll call.
I'm sorry, roll call. All right. Clerk will call the roll.
Zepplinski.
Yes.
Corse.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Shaw.
Yes.
Weekly.
Yes.
Hartman.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Manine.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Hedricks.
Yes.
Hyde.
Yes.
Brzezinski.
Yes.
Mano.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Bono.
Yes.
Ackerman.
Yes.
17.
Resolution passes. Number 89.
Names and means for staffing change in the Personnel Department.
This resolution approves the staffing adjustments listed in the Herkimer County Personnel Department. May I have a motion? Mr. Russell, second.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Weekly, Mr. Corse. Any debate? Mrs. Rose.
Mr. Chairman, when this was brought up at the Ways and Means Committee the other night, we did go into executive session on this, and I pondered afterwards, should we have been in executive session, because we really didn't talk about an individual's personnel issue as much as it was the structure of the need for such a position in the office. And again, reflection, I question why we did that. But that said, I asked and received from Mr. Billings this morning the job descriptions for the positions that currently exist in our personnel office, where we have a personnel clerk position, and this resolution calls for that to be changed to a benefits coordinator position. And we have like I said, we have a personnel clerk, we have a senior personnel clerk, and we have a personnel assistant, and of course all that is headed by Mr. Billings. So what we're doing is we're taking a personnel clerk position and we're going to change it to a benefits coordinator. It's a position that does not have supervisory responsibilities, and it rather limits, I think, what the individual will be doing, making it extremely specialized. And I'm concerned that I think we should be doing more generalists rather than doing specialized, as we're looking hopefully for government to be leaner and more efficient. In this particular position, the full performance knowledge, skills, and abilities of the personnel characteristics. This individual position is going to require the thorough knowledge of federal, state, and local laws, regulations, contractual agreements pertaining to health, dental, and other benefits afforded to employees and retirees. Good knowledge of various benefit plans offered by our municipality, including benefit limits, eligibility criteria, administrative and procedural requirements. Good knowledge of medical and the insurance industry. I mean, right now in the Supreme Court, they're reviewing the federal health care laws. And I just wonder whether we should be creating a position where we expect the individual to have thorough knowledge of all federal laws when right now they're all being challenged. I think that each of the job descriptions for the current positions has something in it about the ability to manage benefits. We as a county are paying thousands of dollars to vendors who are managing and facilitating claims and things like that through our health insurance. I'm a beneficiary of the state retirement system. I came from a very large government agency. I dealt directly with the retirement system on my retirement. I mean, they are the people that deal with that every day. So I think that there are services out there that either people within our personnel office can access to get answers, or the employees themselves can access. Last year, we paid a considerable amount of money to have someone take our health insurance plan, dissect the chart so we could give to the employees to say what's covered. And we paid, I believe it was one of our contract agencies or one of the contract providers to do that for us. We have the skills out there, and I do question creating a position with a base salary of $32,000, and obviously we know that our people have been there longer, so they don't start at that. I want to clear that this is not a reflection on the efforts of the people working in that office. I don't know them, and I believe that are meeting the needs quite well of our employees. I've heard no discussions that we're not. And I just think that we should hold off on doing this. Let the federal insurance thing play itself out. Let's have clearer understanding of just what hasn't been getting done and why this is necessary. I don't think that was articulated to my satisfaction in session. I understand that government can be complicated and the benefit plans are vast, but I believe that there are resources out there that can handle that without adding a specialist position that would limit us in the use of the individuals. Thank you.
Any more debate? Mr. Hartman.
I concur with Mrs. Rose, as far as this is too specialized in my view, it represents a 20% raise this year, which is, well beyond the economy, well beyond what the economy can handle, and our taxpayers can handle. Having some experience in municipal offices, I know people have to do a lot of different tasks at all different times. Everybody should be cross-trained. Like Mrs. Rose said, there are consultants you can call. I know in the village if we had issues with our, granted we weren't self-insured, but I believe we had consultants on the county level. If our employees or our staff had a question, there's always somebody they could call, and I really don't think we need it at this time. Somewhere down the line, our employees scream for something like this, perhaps it could be revisited, but I haven't been convinced we need it this time.
Any more debate? All those in, I'm sorry, roll call. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Hyde?
Yes.
Brzezinski?
No.
Mano?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Bono?
Yes.
Ackerman?
Yes.
Kaplinski?
Yes.
Corse?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Shaw?
Yes.
Weekly? Hartman?
No.
Rose?
No.
Schrader?
Yes.
Manine?
Yes.
Resolution passes. Number 90.
Education, Ways and Means concerning 4-day work week at the college.
This resolution approves a 4-day work week for employees at Herkimer County Community College for the summer of 2012 under the terms as listed. May I have a motion? Mr. Mano, second by Mr. Ackerman. Any debate? Mr. Mano.
Mr. Chairman, this will be in effect for 4 weeks, starting Monday, June 25th, and ending July 20th, 2012. And the estimated savings by going to a 4-day week will be $15,000.
Any more debate? Roll call vote.
Smith?
No.
Bono?
Yes.
Ackerman?
Yes.
Kaplinski?
Yes.
Corse?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Shaw?
Yes.
Hartman?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Schrader?
Yes.
Manine?
Yes.
Johnson?
Abstain.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Hyde?
Yes.
Brzezinski?
Yes.
Mano?
Yes.
Resolution passes. Number 91. Voice vote.
Education, Ways and Means, Properties concerning contract for construction administration at the college.
This resolution awards a contract to CSR to Albany, New York as construction administration and management of science labs and roof replacement project at Herkimer County Community College. Motion by Mr. Mano, second by Mr. Ackerman and Mr. Hendricks. Any debate? Mr. Mano.
Mr. Chairman, this resolution is to hire a contract manager for the roof project and the science labs, and also the renovation of the Johnson Hall building. The total amount is $2,600,000, which is going to be funded 50% from New York State and 50% from the HCC Foundation and through private contributions, and up to $200,000 coming from Herkimer County. The contract manager amount will be $47,200. That's a cap. That's a lump sum, which amounts to 1.8% of the total project.
Thank you, Mr. Mano. Mr. Brzezinski.
Mr. Chairman, the contractor and the architect are one and the same, I believe. You know, the old saying is, the fox watching the hen house. And I think there should be some kind of separation there, or an independent architect from the contractor. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, as I understand it, and it was discussed, and not in too much detail in education, nor at the Ways and Means Committee, is that the architect has a staff person that's going to be the construction manager. I mean, neither of them obviously are the contractor for the building, and there'll be 4 of them. Mr. Wallace gathers more information for us to talk about it being a lump sum. I wonder, because as I'm listening to what Mr. Mano said, it confused me, the lump sum. Could Mr. Wallace explain why we don't think it's why it might cost the county or the college more funds, should there be change orders and things like that when the architect and the construction manager are saying.
I'll allow that because of the confusion the other night. College had stepped away from the table at one point. What? Mr. Lano's here. You want to?
Probably about Comstock Utilities, our director of facilities.
Well, the point of that Mr. Brzezinski made about being a conflict, we took that into consideration. We reviewed the RFP we put out for the services that are going to be rendered. And all that we came up with during the process of making the project a design development phase, the person on staff investigating the roof of the sheet metal problem we've had since 1993, he came away with findings that to date we had never been able to rectify, never been able to find out. We were very impressed with his ability to do this, and we think that just the insight he's bringing on this is very valuable. The timeline is a very, very quick timeline of 8 weeks approximately of construction. To bring in another firm, these people are very intimate in the design and the development of it, and we just, we think that we're going to have value added by having them on the ground running as soon as this takes off, because after the abatement, which is going to last 3 weeks, is done, we've got to ramp this up as quickly as possible. Plus, C.S. Arch, Randy Collins, he designed and built, designed and helped manage, directed the tech building in 1991. It was a #1 project. I think his credentials are exemplary, and I don't think there's any issues with his honesty. And I'm not saying anybody implied that there was. I'm just thinking that the fox and the hen house analogy, I take it for what it's worth, and we do agree that there is that's always to be considered on any type of project of this nature. But Randy has done pro bono work for the college. We think that his staff is #1. They've done, I think, over 500,000 square feet of roof in the SUNY system. So we just think the value they're bringing is very compelling. That's going to have a very quick, on-time project.
Can I follow up?
Go ahead, Owen.
The architect is not questioned. He's going to be on the job regardless, and all the experience is there.
Yes.
The construction manager, if I understood it correctly, is an individual who will oversee what's happening, if it's happening, and should there be change orders, be the one to orchestrate that part of the process. As I gathered from the meeting the other night, those change orders could debatably originate because of some shortfall on the part of the architect, not necessarily, or something unforeseen that could develop. I think that the idea that an independent review of that, we're really using the architect's drawings. It's not, can an individual exist out there with that kind of qualification? They can hit the ground running by using very good design drawings?
Absolutely.
So to suggest that it should be within the same house, that it would hinder us if we didn't, it might not. If we explored it all, the 40-some thousand doesn't sound like a tremendous amount of money when you consider the size of the project. However, the implication that I got from what Mr. Wallace said was that it's a lump sum, and that's what I'm interested in understanding. So that means that should there be other things happening in the construction where change orders are found to be necessary, there's no more money to be put into the project, therefore changes have to be taken out of someplace else, or is that not correct?
There's allowances built into the project which will take care of change orders. Each separate contractor is going to have allowances. They've designed the funding of the project so that change orders, for one thing, we've made it known to them, and I understand and appreciate what you're saying. They happen sometimes. We've made it known that we are going to take change orders, we're going to review them personally. One of the biggest ways that people, architects and engineers, end up with issues usually happens in the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing side of things. There's very little of any of that going on. There's one air handler going in. It's a fairly straightforward system. I do appreciate what you're saying, and I do agree that there is a certain amount of sense made to have these things separated. The biggest thing that we find a compelling reason is we like the expertise of this roofing project, which is about 30 to 40% of the project, And the fact that they investigated this and found out and devised a system that we think is going to address a problem that's occurred since 1993, we thought it brought a lot of value to have this person on the roof with the roofers. One of the biggest problems in roofs is not enough oversight. We feel these people are roofing experts, sheet metal experts, and they design flashing details and inner linings for vapor barriers and moisture barriers that we've never seen before. And I just have a lot of confidence that the Collins Scoville Arch is going to perform to our expectations and bring a lot of good expertise to the project.
Okay, I just want a matter of order here. Please address the chair before you move on to your next question. Second of all, this shouldn't be a question and answer period. I'm allowing it just for this purpose because, again, the college, we had some questions after the college had left the other night. Mr.
I have some things to add, but I think Mr. Snock did a heck of a job explaining where I was coming from. I think that the lack of incentive, and I understand the concerns that several of the legislators brought up. I agree with Tom and Nick that there were, of course you have concerns. Either way, we've been through projects both ways, you have concerns both ways. But to not have an economic benefit to an architect or a construction manager, I think takes away some of those concerns. Does it take away all your concerns? Absolutely not. You never take away all. It's not a perfect world. You never take away all your concerns. But I agree with the way they're heading.
Mr. Mano,
I want to point out that all change orders comes back to this body. Granted, the work may have been done, but we still have some oversight on it.
Mr. Hyde.
I just wanted to say that I think if the college is comfortable with this company and the architects, we ought to back them. One thing it will do, it'll stop the blame game. The architect blaming the contractors blaming the architect. You won't have that here, and I'd like to see how it works out in the end.
Mr. Russell.
Well said. The other thing I wanted to point out is obviously the college is on a time frame, trying to make sure that they can meet their enrollment dates. So if they feel very comfortable with them, especially based on the time frame and the expertise that they need on this roofing project, come out.
Mr. Hendricks.
I just want to say that I've got a great deal of confidence in this firm. I was on the board of trustees when we worked with it before. Did a fantastic job, handled everything the way it was supposed to be handled. Randy Collins is a local kid, graduate of H-Triple, so he's got some interest too, and he's always done a great job in anything I've ever dealt with him as far as the college.
It isn't, but are you requesting a roll call? Yes. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Levine?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Hyde?
Yes.
Brzezinski?
Yes.
Mano?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Bono?
Yes.
Ackerman?
Yes.
Kaplinski?
Yes.
Corse?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Shaw?
Yes.
Weekly?
Yes.
Hartman?
No.
Rose? Schrader?
Yes.
Resolution passes. Moving on to 92. Voice.
Public Safety Emergency Management, Ways and Means, accepting grant and amending budget.
This resolution approves acceptance of a Homeland Security grant and amendment of the budget for the Herkimer County Sheriff's Department. May I have a motion? Mr. Hendricks, second. By Mr. Hyde. Any debate? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Number 93.
County copies, authorizing contract with auctioneer for the interim sale.
This resolution authorizes a contract with Auctions by NAP to conduct the auction for the in-rem tax foreclosure parcels for the year 2012, or I'm sorry, 2010. It's a voice vote. May I have a motion? Mr. Corse, second. By Mr. Schrader. Mr. Smith. Any debate? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
No.
Mrs. Rose. Number 94.
Ways and Means, accepting proposal of D'Arcangelo to perform additional service.
This resolution authorizes acceptance of a proposal for D'Arcangelo and Company to perform additional services for the county in connection with the closing of the books for the year end December 31st, 2011. May I have a motion? Mr. Ackerman, second by Mr. Russell. Any debate? Mrs. Rose.
I was at the committee meeting where this was discussed, and the ground was laid for why it's critically important to Generally, I am not in favor of bringing in outside consultants to do what should be cross-training, but it was explained sufficiently to me that this was unforeseen circumstances. The benefit of spending this upwards to $25,000 is that we will have additional training going on in the office, but we will take care of the year-end closures that we need that are mandated to meet on a particular date. So I will support.
Any more debate? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Resolution will pass. Number 95, Royce.
Awarding bid for equipment for the highway department.
This resolution rejects the low bid and awards the next lowest bidder for the provisions of 3 truck cabs and chassis with dump bodies for the Herkimer County Highway Department. May I have a motion? Mr. Weekly, second by Mr. Poplinski and Mr. Shaw. Any debate? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution is passed. Number 96.
Ways and Means accepting proposal for provision of an ATM machine.
This resolution accepts the proposal of J.R. Associates of Ilion, New York for the provision of an ATM machine at the county office building. May I have a motion? Mr. Russell, second. Mr. Hyde, any debate? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Resolution passes. Number 97. Voice.
Administration, Veterans Affairs, Ways and Means requesting authority to extend the mortgage tax.
This resolution requests our representatives in the state legislature to secure passage of legislation to extend the imposition of a mortgage recording tax. May I have a motion? Mr. Russell, second by Mrs. Manine. Any debate?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Corse.
I don't like the idea that the towns get their money by a law that was set up to move perpetually, and we have to keep begging them to reauthorize it. So, and the state gets their money. That's right. The state and the towns and the villages get their money without authorization. We have to ask to be reauthorized every 2 years, I believe, every 2 years. So it's not fair, Mr. Chairman.
Noted. Any other debate? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Resolution passes. Number 98 is a roll call.
County Properties authorizing the sale of property acquired by INREM.
This resolution authorizes the sale by public auction of properties acquired by the in-rem procedure for the tax year 2010. May I have a motion?
So moved, Mr.
Mr.
Chairman.
Corr, second by Mr. Ackerman and Mr. Poplinski. Any debate? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. The resolution will pass. All right, we'll move on to comments by legislators. Any comments? Mrs. Rose.
Chairman, I've listened to speak at the last several meetings about what I perceive as an attempt to keep the minority from the table of discussion. We have spoken in reply to that even though the majority is, by my term, grossly underrepresented on committees, that we have the right to be at committees, to hear the discussion on committees, to participate in committees, to bring our questions to committees. And we know an attempt to keep us out of the executive session by the action of the chairman of the committee, not by the vote of the particular committee. And that really fell on deaf ears. I received an email, I believe it was last week, informing me and others that a decision had been made by the Ways and Means Committee in the selection of the individual who would be chairman of our county properties, what is the county, the tax office. This is our Budas Corner position. And that the Ways and Means Committee was making a recommendation and that it was contingent on the approval of the state and wherever else the approval was needed, and obviously this full board. I went looking for the notice of that committee meeting and I couldn't find it. When I inquired of the people who send out the committee notices, and of course with Mr. Billings also, I was told that notices went to the paper and the committee, and at first it was lost on me that the notices went to the committee. They didn't come to the full legislature. Now we know there are 7 people on the Ways and Means Committee, so that means 10 of us that are not, and to know when a committee is meeting. Somebody, I assume it's the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, but I don't know that for certain, made a decision not to send a notice of the committee to the full legislature. Our rules, the Rule 18, requires in D, Rule 18D, any committee appointed by the chairman of the legislature shall have the power to make its own rules as to time, place, and procedure of its meetings. That's where I would say to you, I can appreciate that committees can convene and they can vote to exclude anybody that's not on the committee. I understand that. I won't like it, but I understand the committee can make that decision. You appointed a chairman of the committee, but when I was away, we didn't have a coronation, you weren't made the Lord, and the committee chairman doesn't have the authority, I don't believe, because it further says in D, all members of the county legislature shall be notified as to the time and place of all committee meetings. That didn't happen, Mr. Chairman. And I would implore you to see that it doesn't happen again. However, you're a member of that Ways and Means Committee. I don't know that you knew that this was happening. I don't know how many of the 10 of us that were excluded knew. I didn't know. I know that we did talk about that in the Democratic caucus, and Mr. Brzezinski didn't know, Mr. Hartman didn't know. And I think I have been present for interviews of people. I understand that there were 7 interviews. Controversy has been introduced in that process that didn't need to happen. I have sat through interviews for the Veterans Affairs Officer, the County Auditor, the Commissioner of Social Services. Actually, I can give testimony to the thoroughness of the process. So I think the only one that we weren't privy to was through some law, rule, regulation, when Mr. Smith appointed the chairman of the probation department. And there may have been others along the line, but those are 3 that I recall. I recall going into that room, sitting present during the interviews, not interfering, understanding that it was not my role or right to speak and ask questions. I had no objection to that. I was able to listen to the candidates and why they felt that they were right. I was able to listen to the committee, ask questions of the candidates, and to be excluded from this particular position, it just sows seeds of distrust that can't be sown. I mean, it's like shooting yourself in the foot. And I don't understand why it's happening unless it is a continued effort to exclude, and maybe you just expanded the exclusion so that the 3 of us wouldn't take it so personal. I take it personal. I take it personal as an individual who's been represented, who's been elected to represent the Herkimer districts 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's other districts that are represented by the other people that have been excluded. I don't know if the majority is offended by it, but I certainly am. I know that the media was told. I quite frankly don't subscribe to those 2 papers. And I think our rules say we are to be notified, and I'd like to understand, Mr. Chairman, if there's an explanation on why it didn't happen, I would like to be public. Thank you.
Any other comments? Mr. Shaw.
I don't understand how this happens either. I'm not on the committee, but I had it on my email. I think it was listed with 3, there was 1 email came through with 3 meetings, and that was one of them.
No, it was not. I'm going to ask the clerk of the legislature.
Is that your comment? This is not a question and answer period. This is a comment period by legislators. I believe Mr. Brzezinski had his hand up first.
Mr. Chairman, if you look at Oneida County, from what I can understand, there is a member of the minority party on every one of their committees. Would you agree with me right now that if a decision was made to put 1 member of the minority party on every one of these committees, this nonsense would stop?
Mr. Brzezinski, I really don't care how Oneida County runs Oneida County. I care about how we run Herkimer County.
Well, that's what I'm asking you. Would you say this nonsense that's going on right now would stop?
It's not question and answer period.
I wish you would answer the question.
I don't have to answer any question.
Yes, you don't.
Mr. Weekly, I'm sorry.
I was out of the room for resolution 8990. They were both roll call votes. For the record, my vote was yes on both.
Anyone else? Mr. Hartman.
Yes, back to the lack of notice on the meeting. It is kind of sad that it was a blatant disregard for Rule 18B. We're constantly getting the rules thrown at us that are interpreted during the course of meetings. I think whether there was something being hidden or not, I would hope not. It was a very important position. It does raise that perception, like why in the world would this be called with as little notice as possible and with disregard for the rules? And it also puts the new appointee in the position of what some of the public and others may consider being appointed by a FOIA process, and also may raise some suspicion amongst the other candidates as to why they didn't get it, because obviously we had to break the rules to keep this hidden for some reason.
Let me make one comment here. It wasn't done intentionally. You may feel the way you feel. I'm sorry for that, but it was not done intentionally. Are there any other comments?
Mr. Chairman, I have a comment because
Just a minute. Be addressed by the chair.
I thought you did. Look, I'm sorry.
I thought Mr. Russell had his hand up earlier. Mrs. Rose.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Shaw indicated that he got a notice on this. I thought I did too. It was the 14th of March. It turned out this committee, this quiet committee meeting was the 15th of March. So there was no legislative, no email that went out. I did check with the clerk's office and was told that they were instructed. So I don't know how it was an error. They were instructed to send it to the committee and to the media. To the committee and to the media. We get them very routinely through email. So if it wasn't intentional, I guess I need to understand who gave the edict that was misunderstood. The other piece on this is when you comment that this is only supposed to be comment and it's not question and answer. I bring it back. If I had questions for a committee process, I think I've heard you say and I've heard others say, call me up, not that you told me to call you up, but others call and ask a question of the chairman or whatever it might be. Sometimes the dialogue that happens in a group can be much more enlightening and clarifying than the one-to-one conversation. So the interviews were held, you can't go back and recreate them, so I can ask any one individual, go around to however many, because I don't know how many were present at that. It was an executive session, so I imagine there's not minutes. Perhaps who was there that would be noted. The attempt to squash dissent does not bring transparency to an operation. We can be dissenting and we can be disagreeable, but we don't have to be disrespectful. And I challenge, I will continue to attempt and try to be respectful of it, but we've got to stop the blocking, or what is perceived as blocking and transparency. Mr. Chairman, it happened. The clerk's office was told not to tell us.
Inadvertently, Mrs. Rose, okay?
How does
there
someone...
was an oversight, a possible oversight.
It's the only one in this time.
This was not, there's no underhandedness here. I'm not going to take that.
Well, you have to take that. I asked the question of the clerk's office. I'm insulted, sir.
Stop.
Mr. Chairman, I asked the question of the clerk where the question should go. I asked the question of the clerk's office, and I was told, it was told to them to send it to the committee and to the media. I don't know how that is. Well, then maybe it's
wasn't my directive.
But you're the chairman. It's a culture.
Doesn't mean I know.
It's a culture that is developing, and I would ask you in your leadership role,
I will look into it.
To shut it down.
Thank you. Mr. Hartman.
Just briefly, I just want to clarify my rationale behind the vote on separating the architect and the project manager at the roof and, as far as the construction.
Mr. Hartman, we had this debate.
Okay, and I didn't get in quick enough. It's a very, we got time here, it's not dark yet. Can I just explain?
I will defer to Mr. Malone. Listen.
Okay.
We're talking about rules.
There was a coordination while I was gone, and I didn't realize it.
Everybody wants rules when they apply to them.
No, Mr. Chairman, the debate is finally and completely closed by the announcement of the vote.
I was going to say something good about the architect. I wasn't debating the matter.
But this has come up before when people want to qualify their vote during the time they're voting, but once a vote is taken, the debate is fully and completely closed unless the entire body decides to reopen debate.
It was a comment about
Mr. Please, again, if you want rules, we'll go by rules.
That's not I wasn't debating.
Will you let me finish? Address the chair, that's all I'm saying. Before you speak out or blurt out something, address the chair. Mr. Chairman, very simple. Mr. Hartman.
Do I?
Go ahead.
Okay. My rationale behind that vote was because I've experienced difficulties when you have the architect and the project manager from the same company, and I certainly would have the highest respect for Mr. Collins and his staff. I've known Randy forever. I know him personally. He's a good guy. He's done great work. I just think that titles have to be separated. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Mr. Russell has his hand up.
Well, Mr. Chairman, being the chair of that committee that did the interviews, obviously I think I might have made a mistake in regards to what I told the ladies, because they certainly would have done it the correct way. If people did not get notice of it, that's totally on me. I did say, however, that the only people that were going to be invited to the meeting were those people that were on the committee, because we were going to go into executive session and we were going to exclude the the members that weren't on the committee. So that totally goes to me. I obviously made a mistake in regards to what I said to the ladies, and I apologize for that.
Let's
Although I hear that some people did get,
let's
some
end
people
this.
didn't.
Let's end this. Move on with any other comment, Mr. Course.
Never mind then, Mr. Chairman.
We can, if you want to address this at the appropriate committee level, we can do this. You know, this is debate. Mr. Russell.
Well, I just, Sally, Mrs. Deming was saying something.
It was just the committee.
Just sent to the committee.
Are there any other comments? Mrs. Rose.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Malone just referenced about the closure, that when the vote is called, the debate ends. And I know that that's to be the case when someone tries to qualify the vote after, that we're not supposed to do that. This session that we have, the section that we have at the agenda for legislative comments, there's a real attempt to censure what can be said here. I can appreciate that you don't have to answer to what is being said, but I reserve the right that we as elected representatives have the right to say it. What my counterpart to my right was attempting to say was about, after the vote was taken, he wasn't attempting to change the vote, he wasn't attempting to qualify, to try to change any aspect of the vote. He was commenting on the vote. It was done. So I think the section that Mr. Malone referenced, I wonder how pertinent that is. I think that to refer continually, to refer back to committee, and we have a chairman, it happened before. When a chairman can indicate that the committee was going to exclude, when there was no committee meeting to vote to exclude, what should have happened is we should have been invited and then go let the entire 7 people vote not to let anyone else in the room. That speaks for itself. But that's what should be happening. When you appointed committees, you did not appoint somebody with supreme power, nor were you appointed with supreme power, and I think that needs to be driven home. You facilitate our dialogue. You certainly have additional powers. The chairman of the committee have powers that are in our rules. And I think that it's important that we recognize that and we don't cross over in an attempt to block honest dissent and discussion. Thank you.
Mr. Wakelet.
Motion to adjourn until April 25th at 7:30.
Second by Mr. Hendricks. All in favor?
All right.
Any opposed? We're adjourned.